Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this Friday. Friday, the 1st of September, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you guys here. Uh, what was I going to look at here? The correlation. I was going to show you guys a correlation between. Look at right. Just see that shoot up there in the dollar, or strength of the dollar. Now, I was talking about this yesterday. This direct correlation. Look at silver price. Right there at the exact same moment. The dollar shot up, silver shot down. See? Exact same moment. This correlation is very strong right now between the dollar strength and precious metals. It's very sharp right now, the correlation. I wanted to point that out now. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the unemployment rate has unexpectedly surged as the Bureau of Labor Statistics revises the payrolls for every month in 2023. It's sharply lower. I knew the labor market has to start to break. There's another market that has to start to break very soon too, and this is not just the commercial real estate market, but the real estate market has to break pretty soon. They're going to break a lot of things. They're on the verge. But you know, they've been covering a lot of things that they're breaking up secretly behind the scenes. Now, this was an interesting story I saw today. I just thought it was cute. I'm going to put it on here. There's this guy evidently was driving down in Nebraska. He was driving down the highway with a full-size with Toozy bull riding shotgun inside his Ford Crown Victoria. And the bull was riding in the passenger seat. Evidently, he cut the windshield in half, and he had reinforced the floor or whatever. And he put in a roll bar for the bull. He made it so that the bull's safe. Now, what happened was the police pulled him over. Here's him pulled over right here. And look at the horns on that bull. That's what got me. Look at, oh my gosh, that got a set of horns on him, don't he? But this is what I think. You should be allowed to carry any passenger you want to carry in your passenger seat. And if it's your pet bull, you should be allowed to. Police shouldn't pull you over. I think it was more of curiosity. They wanted to see what in the heck's going on. The police, so they pulled him over. It's a nuisance, so getting pulled over and everything. You have to show your driver's license and all that kind of papers in the car, and papers, please, and all this kind of stuff. It's a headache, probably for the guy with the bull. I said to give him a warning. Anyway, but you should be allowed, honestly, to carry any passenger you want to carry in your car. That's what your passenger side of your car's for, is carrying passengers. And if you want to take your pet, you want to load your puppy dog in there or whatever you want, fine. If it happens to be a bull, more power to you as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, now in other stories here, China is bracing for a super typhoon called Sola. It's barreling towards South China, and here's a picture of it right here. It's making its way, and it's going to hit the Chinese. The weather has just gone crazy lately. And if you don't believe that, just take a look here at the Atlantic. See that red X behind my head? And then there's 4 more right there. I mean, if ships captains and stuff that's out in the Atlantic right now, there's just so many hurricanes, I don't know how they'd avoid them all. They'd go left to get rid of one, and they'd run into another one. There's a big cluster of them out there. And hurricanes, I believe, in one hemisphere they spin in one direction, and in another hemisphere they spin in the opposite direction. So if we look at this typhoon out here, that's the difference between a hurricane and a typhoon, is which direction they spin in. Now, we got these 4 hurricanes, and they're all spinning in the same direction, which is, I believe, I think it's counterclockwise here. I'm not sure. I get a little bit mixed up here, but anyway, they're all spinning in the same direction. If they hit one another out there in the Atlantic, do they start to cancel each other out, or do they merge into something bigger? Just a question, just something that's running through my mind right now, because there's so many of them out there. They're almost touching each other. I've never seen 5 storms before, I don't think, in the Atlantic at one time. I've seen 3. I've seen 4 before. But this is just indicative of just how screwy the weather's gone now. So anyway, let's take a look here at this article. The Russia's Federal Security Service, the SFB, says it's captured Ukrainian sabotage group which entered Russia. Well, you know, if you capture one, you can bet there's 10 more out there, 20 more out there that they don't know about. And so Russia's not only being infiltrated, but I heard yesterday that Ukraine now has the ability to create their own long-range weapons systems. Long range, meaning that they can strike deep into Russia, here, there, and everywhere, and they have been. They're particularly concentrating their attacks around Moscow. So Russia's got a choice. What's Russia to do if they continue on just like they're continuing now? I mean, they do reprisal attacks back on Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine hits them and then they hit back and whatnot. But it's all what's called the weapon systems they're using right now is all just conventional weapon systems, conventional explosions. And what I mean by that is alternative to that is nuclear. So that's the next level. They've already taken as far as Russia's taken this as far as they can take it in conventional terms to try to snuff out these attacks on Russia itself. But I see it as a growing thing now that Ukraine has the ability to create their own long-range weapon systems that they can launch from a great distance and have them fly into Russia and explode. Boom. Now that they can do that, and they've also got these Ukrainian sabotage groups which they can infiltrate inside the country, it's bringing Russia to a choice. Do they stick with conventional or do they go with something else? To try to, how far are they going to let the Ukrainians go? Are they going to let them blow up the Kremlin? I mean, I'm just saying. Before they say, hey, enough is enough. I mean, it must be crossing their mind. Just talking, guys. Anyway, taking a look at the silver price today. It's down 16 cents on the day so far. Now, there's something interesting going on. I've been getting reports that banks out there have been closing out the accounts of things like coin stores and silver retailers. And they can't operate. If all of a sudden they go into their bank where they've been banking for the last 20 years or whatever and their accounts are all closed out, how are they going to stay open and sell silver? They're going to have a sign on the door that says closed. Because they can't do business unless they've got some way of, if their accounts are all closed out. And I got thinking about that and I said to myself, hey, you know what? Maybe they're running out of silver. Maybe this is what it's all about. I'm just guessing about this, but maybe they're running out of silver big time. And how do they lose silver, you know? If they got an inventory of silver that they're hanging on to because Silver's running short. They got some left, but not a lot. And these silver retailers and coin stores and stuff are, the silver's going out the door like crazy. What if they just closed out their bank account and shut them down so that they can't sell silver? I just thinking, well, I don't know. I'm just guessing at this, but could that be the case? Taking a look at gold today. Gold is 1939. It's down 10 cents. So it basically hasn't moved at all. 10 cents. That's nothing. Taking a look at cryptocurrency today. You know, we're seeing Bitcoin has dropped a little bit again, down to 25,781. Ethereum is at 1631, and XRP is at 50 cents. So crypto's dropped overnight. Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 83 points at 34,805. I am telling you guys, I'm really, this market right here is like, I think we've had our, to the full extent, our melt up from this bottom right here. I think we've seen the full extent of our melt up, and I think right now it's not really going anywhere much. And I think what's coming next is going to be a drop, because I can't see good news for the economy coming now. I can't see good news for anything. Good news for the war. Everything is smelling of manure. And so it's just, I think it's just a matter of time now. Nothing's going to come in to make everything look rosy again. It's just a matter of time now until this thing falls. And the question is when it does start to fall, what point are they going to say, okay, enough's enough? We've seen enough dropping and enough where they have to step in and they have to say, hey, you know, we can't let a 90% crash happen. It just, it ain't gonna fly on our watch. They've got methods that they can do to prop things back up now. These are controlled markets. Not like it was back in the 1930s when we had the great market crash in 1929. It wasn't controlled back then. But in order to control it, they're going to have to do it at the expense of the dollar. And you know that that's what they're going to do. Taking a look at crude oil today. We're looking at 85.11. It's up $1.48. You know, you remember I told you yesterday. I said the move comes. What they do is they let it hover around 70. Let it hover for a while. Boom, 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 boom. 70, 69, 70, 71 each day. Like right around $70 for a while. And all of a sudden, boom, to 80. And they're letting it hover at 80 for a while. 81, 80, 80, 79, 80. And then all of a sudden, boom, 90. I think we're right now, look at this thing. It's 85.11. She's heading on her way to 90. And then it gets to 90, and it gets to 100. It could go as high as 300. And not that long from now. Okay, you're paying 300. Right now you're paying $85 a barrel at the pump. I mean, not at the pump, but at the refineries. They're paying at the refinery level. It reflects directly on your gas price. So you can just imagine at $300 a barrel what you're going to be paying at the pump. Can we say $12 a gallon? And that filters all the way through all inflation on everything, because they got to use gas to move everything. You can buy a can of beans, it's got gas in it because it took gas to get to the store. It took gas to harvest it. It takes refined oil products for everything. To make the can, to put the can in. Everything. And every product in our entire economy. So this fuels inflation. Used up their National Petroleum Reserve. wasn't enough to last any length of time anyway, considering how much petroleum that they use on a daily basis. And I'll tell you one other thing about oil. It's a very fine line. The world has an X amount of oil they use each day. I forget how many million barrels it is a day. If there's slightly more coming in than what they use, the price drops. And if there's less coming in, just slightly less coming in, the price goes up. And that's very fine. It's a very sensitive mechanism. OPEC has, for as long as I've been alive, OPEC is the controlling mechanism. OPEC right now, basically Saudi and the oil-producing nations over there, they're thinking brick. And brick is thinking, hey, you know what? We're done with the dollar. Well, right now the Fed is in a so-called fight against inflation. And the biggest thing that they need to help them fight inflation is low oil prices. We ain't getting it. Bonds and rates today. Now we're looking at rising yields. And I'm going to tell you what, here, China's got all these treasuries. Over $800 billion worth of treasuries. But you know what? They're only selling $10 billion a month worth of them. They're trying to get out of them. But they can only get rid of $10 billion a month. Well, I think there must be some limiter on them, how much they can get rid of them at once. Because I think, my idea is China would just dump them all if they could. I don't think they can. I think $10 billion is about the limit of what they can do without getting clamped down on. I mean clamped down on them. I mean the treasury that issues those treasuries is the ones that is the one who says whether they're worth anything or not. So China's holding $800 billion worth, almost $1 trillion worth, and they could just say, hey, you know what? Ha ha, ha ha. We ain't gonna honor that crap. In fact, they could do that to anybody they wanted to because they're the issuer, and they can just say, hey, you know what? Your treasuries are all bogus now. If they wanted to. I'm just saying if they wanted to. They have that power because they're the issuer. They're the issuer of the dollars, too. They can do the same thing to your dollars that's in your pocket. They can come out tomorrow morning and just announce and say, dollars worthless. They're not worth anything. Or turn them in. We'll give you something else. We'll give you a week to turn them all in. They could. Look on your bills and see who they really belong to. They don't belong to you. It's a Federal Reserve note. It's not your note. You think these are my dollars. They're not your dollars. They're the Federal Reserve's dollars. It's their Ponzi scheme. They're running it. They're running the show. They're producing them from nothing, just printing them off willy-nilly however they want. Just push a button and make them. And then they buy real things and real goods with them. This is an exorbitant privilege. It's probably going to come to an end pretty soon. And so is our lifestyles. And they've done all this to us. And what are we going to do? We'll probably give them a Nobel Prize. You know, I mean, I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but it's just beyond sick. How did they get away with this stuff? And initially, to begin with, how they do it is they do it very slowly. They move in slowly. They first start with something small. It's like when they put a new law in, you know. At first they'll say, okay, you're going to have to register something. And they'll say, okay, it's free. The registration's free. The first year it's free. Everybody registers. And they get them all registered. And then 5 years later they say, oh, we're going to put a tax on that registration. And then later, they up the tax higher and higher and higher. And it's like, how they always do it is slowly. It's like the same way you boil a frog. And in the end, they get you so restricted, so you in the end, the people just can't do anything anymore, and the people start to starve to death. And then the next thing you know, everything's overturned. They overturn the whole apple cart, and we have to start humanity all over again. And what happens is these thieves and crooks and criminals slowly move into position and slowly keep strangling and strangling the goose that laid the golden egg until finally they kill the goose that laid the golden egg, and then everything has to start all over again. See, they don't know where to stop. They don't know where to draw the line. They don't know that a healthy, vibrant middle class is how they really got rich in the first place, and they destroy that healthy, vibrant middle class, and in the end, there's nothing left, and in the end, it's just the whole thing turns into anarchy and craziness. You know, cars burning in the street, sort of thing. That's how it all ends, and it all ends in tears in the end, and it's like a cycle that we go through. And wars as well. Wars come in cycles and stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling a little bit here. I got to get on with my charts. Let's take a look now at the dollar. Well, we took a look at the dollar index earlier, but it's still moving up higher. Yeah, see, they're going down lower. Okay, so the dollar just took another burst higher while I've been chatting on here and talking. The dollar's taking a burst higher. And look, see the correlation there, really, really strong right now to precious metals. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Have a great afternoon and a great, was it Labor Day weekend? Have yourself a barbecue. I wish I could join you. Lots of barbecue sauce. You need that barbecue sauce. You need to cook it in there. Yeah. Bye bye, guys.